I've worked in restaurants for 12 years. I've seen everything. Food dropping on the floor and going back on the plate. Cooks seasoning with dirty hands. Expired meat being disguised with sauce. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I witnessed that Tuesday night in the kitchen of La Bella Vista in downtown Chicago. What I saw was so disturbing, so absurdly disgusting, that it forever changed my relationship with restaurant food. And the worst part, it wasn't an accident, a mistake, a moment of insanity. It was a habit, a ritual, something he did every single day, with the tranquility of someone brushing their teeth. My name is Tyler. I'm 28 years old, and since that night, I've been carrying a secret that should destroy the career of one of the most respected chefs in the city. Chef Antonio Russo, James Beard Award finalist, TV appearances on the Food Network. Endless lines of customers willing to pay $300 per person to taste his culinary art. Influencers drooling over his dishes on Instagram. Food critics writing poems about his risottos. And me, a simple waiter, discovered the repulsive secret behind all that perfection. The special seasoning, the magic touch, the edge that nobody could replicate. He chewed the food, tasted the flavor in his mouth, and then, deliberately, spit it back into the pan. Not once, not by accident. Every single night, dozens of dishes, hundreds of people, thousands of dollars in contaminated meals, and nobody knew, nobody suspected. After all, who would imagine that an award-winning chef, an icon of Chicago's culinary scene, would be capable of something so primitive, so disgusting, so inhumane? But he was, and I saw it. And now I need to decide what to do with this information that burns inside me, like acid. Before continuing with this story that might forever change how you see restaurants, I want to make a request. If you're finding this account important, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Stories like this need to be told. Secrets like this need to come to light. And your support is fundamental, so I can continue exposing truths that many would prefer to keep hidden in the closed kitchens of the city's fancy restaurants. I started working at La Bella Vista 6 months ago. For a waiter like me, it was the peak of my career. The most prestigious restaurant in the region. Good salary, excellent tips, sophisticated environment. My parents were proud. My girlfriend celebrated. I felt accomplished. Finally, I'd made it into the world of fine dining, even if through the service entrance. Chef Antonio was a legend. Mid-50s, Italian by birth, established in Chicago for 20 years. Explosive temperament, extreme perfectionism, impossible demands. He yelled at everyone, made people redo dishes 5, 6 times, fired people in the middle of shifts. But nobody complained much, because working with him was like having a seal of quality on your resume. If you could handle Chef Antonio, you could handle any kitchen in the world. In my first months, I barely entered the kitchen. My job was to serve, smile, recommend wines, clear tables. The kitchen was sacred territory, exclusive domain of the chef and his team. Waiters were tolerated there, only to grab plates and leave quickly. But that Tuesday, Marcus, the senior waiter, called in sick. I was assigned to make the direct bridge with the kitchen. Go in, grab the plates while still hot, take them straight to the VIP table. Total access, privileged view. And that's exactly why I witnessed the unthinkable. It was exactly 8:37 p.m. when I entered the kitchen through the swinging door. The environment was chaotic, as always. Steaming pots, screams in Italian, intense smell of garlic and butter, flames rising from the industrial stove burners. Chef Antonio commanded everything from the center, like a conductor leading a hellish orchestra. Risotto table 8. Now, he bellowed. This steak is raw. Redo, it. He pointed at a trembling cook. I stood near the pass, waiting for the plate from table 12 that I needed to take out. That's when I saw it. Chef Antonio was finishing a porcini mushroom risotto, one of the most expensive dishes on the menu, $280 per individual portion. He stirred the pan with one hand, held a spoon with the other. Then he took a generous spoonful of the risotto, blew on it to cool it down a bit, and brought it to his mouth. Up to that point, normal. Chefs taste their food, but then, he chewed. Once, twice, 3 times. Closed his eyes, as if analyzing every note of flavor. And then, with the same naturalness as breathing, he leaned over the pan and spit everything back. Not discreetly, not in a corner, right in the middle of the risotto. And then he grabbed the spoon and stirred, incorporating that disgusting thing into the rest of the dish, as if it were the most normal action in the world. My brain took about 3 seconds to process. I saw it wrong, I thought. It can't be. But my eyes don't lie. I stood paralyzed, staring, waiting for him to do something. Anything that would explain it. Throw that risotto away. Set it aside, to not serve. But no. He simply plated that contaminated risotto on a white porcelain dish, decorated it with Parmesan shavings, drizzled it with truffle oil, and placed it on the pass. Table 23, move. He yelled at me. I didn't move. Couldn't. I was staring at that plate like it was a nuclear bomb. You deaf. Table 23. He screamed louder. The other cooks turned to see what was happening. I grabbed the plate with trembling hands, feeling the heat of the porcelain burning my fingers. I left the kitchen on autopilot, walked to table 23, where an elegant couple was waiting anxiously, and placed that abomination in front of them. Porcini mushroom risotto, I announced mechanically. Enjoy your meal. And I watched them start eating, closing their eyes with pleasure at each forkful, having no idea what they were actually ingesting. I spent the rest of the night in shock. Every time I entered the kitchen to get a plate, my stomach turned. Every time I saw Chef Antonio approaching a pan, I held my breath, waiting to see if he'd do it again. And he did. Not with every dish, not with everything, but frequently enough to be undeniable. This was a pattern, a habit, part of his sick culinary technique. I saw him do it with a clam sauce, with a filet in red wine reduction, with a balsamic reduction. Always the same ritual. Generous spoonful, bring to mouth, chew, analyze, spit back in the pan, stir to incorporate, serve. The other cooks didn't seem to notice, or they pretended not to notice. Or, and this possibility terrified me even more, they were so used to it, they didn't even find it strange anymore. When the shift ended, it was almost 2 in the morning. I left through the back door and threw up in the alley behind the restaurant. Couldn't hold it. The image of that man spitting in the food played like a movie in my head, mixed with memories of all the happy, satisfied customers, praising, paying fortunes for those contaminated dishes. I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand and leaned against the cold tile wall, trying to breathe. First time seeing him do that, a voice startled me. I turned around. It was Jake, one of the sous chefs, smoking a cigarette, leaning against the dumpster. You saw? I asked, still trying to catch my breath. Everyone who's worked here for more than a month has seen it. It's his secret, the famous personal touch of Chef Antonio. He spoke with bitter sarcasm, blowing smoke through his nose. And nobody does anything. Nobody reports it. I was almost shouting. Jake shrugged. Report to who? To the restaurant owner who's his business partner. To the health department that he pays off to look the other way. To the public that idolizes him. Mike, another waiter, tried to speak up once, got fired for cause the next day. They made up that he was stealing, never got another job at a decent restaurant again. Get the message. He threw the cigarette on the ground and stepped on it. If you want to keep your job, pretend you didn't see anything. That's what we all do. Welcome to La Bella Vista. And he went back inside, leaving me alone with that horrible revelation. It wasn't just Chef Antonio. It was the entire system protecting that monster. In the following days, I seriously thought about quitting, just disappearing, getting another job, pretending I'd never worked there. But it wasn't that simple. La Bella Vista paid 3 times more than any other place where I could get a position. I had bills, rent, a wedding planned for 6 months from now. Leaving that job meant throwing all that in the trash. And for what? To do the right thing. To prevent people from continuing to eat contaminated food. Who did I think I was? I started observing more carefully, trying to understand the sick logic of it all. Chef Antonio didn't do it with every dish. Apparently, only with those he considered special, that carried his personal signature. The risottos, the signature sauces, the complex reductions. As if that repulsive act was, in his mind, a way of leaving his mark, of transferring something of himself into the food. The more I thought about it, the sicker I felt. I tried researching if this was common, if other chefs did it, found obscure forums on the internet where cooks talked about tasting and spitting, but always referring to spitting into a separate container, never back into the pan. What Chef Antonio did had no technical justification whatsoever. It was pure sociopathy, or some sick fetish. Or maybe he simply didn't care, so convinced of his genius that he thought his rules were different from the rules of mere mortal. Worse than everything was when my fiancée, Jessica, suggested We go have dinner at La Bella Vista. You work there, and you've never taken me. I want to see it. Eat that incredible food everyone talks about. My blood ran cold. Jess, no. It's too expensive. Not worth it. But you get an employee discount, don't you? Oh, babe, please. It's my dream. How could I refuse without giving explanations? How could I say I'd prefer any dirty dive bar to letting her eat at the place where I worked? I ended up giving in. Made a reservation for a Sunday, my day off, so I wouldn't have to serve her and witness everything. But when it was time to leave the house, I faked a terrible stomachache. Babe, I'm not feeling well. Let's reschedule. She was disappointed, but believed me. It was the third time I'd cancelled. I realized this was destroying my relationship. It was destroying my peace. It was turning me into someone I didn't recognize, a silent accomplice to a daily atrocity. And the worst part is, I saw no way out. Speaking up meant losing everything. Staying silent meant living with this for the rest of my life. The decision to do something came in a way I didn't expect. 3 months after that first night, a girl, about 10 years old, had dinner at the restaurant with her parents. They ordered the complete tasting menu, 7 courses, over $1,000. I watched when Chef Antonio personally prepared the saffron risotto with scallops, one of the menu dishes. And I watched when he did that, chewed, spit, stirred, served. For a child, something in me broke at that moment. The job didn't matter anymore. The money didn't matter anymore. The implicit threats didn't matter anymore. This had to stop. I waited until the end of the shift. When Chef Antonio was in the office closing out the register, I walked in without knocking. We need to talk. He looked at me with that disdainful expression he reserved for insignificant employees. Waiters don't come in here without permission. Get out. I saw what you do with the food. Silence. He stopped shuffling papers and stared at me with eyes cold as ice. Saw what? Exactly. You know exactly what I saw. And I know I'm not the first, but I'm going to be the last. Because if you continue, I'm going to report it. To the health department, to the press, to every customer who's ever eaten, with video, with proof. He slowly got up from his chair. He was taller than me, older, more powerful. But in that moment, I didn't feel fear. I felt disgust. You don't have any proof. And even if you did, who would believe you? Some random waiter against a James Beard finalist. You'd be sued for defamation. Destroyed, would never work again. Understood. Understood perfectly. But I don't care anymore. His expression changed. He realized I was serious. How much do you want? Excuse me. How much do you want? Everyone has a price. What's yours? I felt bile rise in my throat. I want you to stop. Today. Now, that's all. Stop with this disgusting act, and I'll pretend I never saw anything. He laughed, a short laugh, without humor. And you think I'm going to stop because some shit waiter is having a crisis of conscience? You don't understand anything about gastronomy, about art, about spitting chewed food in pans. I cut him off. Which part of that is art? He advanced toward me, his face red with rage. Get out, you're fired. Get your things and leave before I call security. Perfect. And tomorrow morning, the health department will receive a very detailed email with times descriptions, names of witnesses. Good luck. I left before he could respond. My legs were shaking so much I could barely walk. But for the first time in months, I could breathe properly. The email to the health department went out at 8 a.m. the next morning. Detailed, objective, without emotional accusations. Just facts, dates, times, precise descriptions of what I'd witnessed. I sent copies to 3 journalists who covered food and dining in Chicago. I didn't expect them to believe me, but I hoped they'd at least investigate. The response came faster than I imagined. 2 days later, the health department did a surprise inspection at La Bella Vista. They didn't find anything, of course. Chef Antonio wouldn't be stupid enough to do that with inspectors at the restaurant. But the inspection was enough to plant the seed of doubt. One of the journalists published a discreet article. Anonymous tip leads health department to inspect award-winning restaurant. No direct accusations, just the facts. The effect was devastating. On social media, people started speculating. Which restaurant? What was wrong? Did anyone get sick? The carefully constructed reputation over decades started to crack. Reservations dropped. Food critics, who were once allies, now asked uncomfortable questions. And Chef Antonio, accustomed to being untouchable, watched his empire begin to crumble. 3 weeks after the inspection, I got a call from Jake, the sous chef. Tyler, you need to know. He stopped. Doesn't do that anymore. He's neurotic, paranoid, thinks everyone's watching him, installed cameras in the kitchen, hired an external hygiene supervisor. He's become a different person. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. And you, still there? Yeah, but not for much longer. Half the staff quit. The environment's horrible. I think the restaurant won't survive another 6 months. I didn't feel sorry. I felt relief and a strange sense of justice. It wasn't perfect justice. He wasn't arrested, didn't lose everything, wasn't publicly exposed, but he lost trust, lost peace of mind, lost the power to continue doing that with impunity. And for me, at that moment, it was enough. Months later, La Bella Vista closed its doors, officially due to concept reformulation. Everyone knew the truth. Chef Antonio moved to another city, tried to start over, but the reputation followed him like a shadow. Last I heard, he was giving private cooking classes. Ironic, considering his greatest teaching was showing me that silence in the face of immorality is complicity, and that some things are worth more than financial stability, dignity, courage, and the ability to sleep at night without having nightmares about contaminated dishes being served to innocent. This story happened 2 years ago. Today, I work at another restaurant, smaller, less famous, but where I can enter the kitchen without feeling the urge to throw up. I lost my dream job, but gained something more valuable, the ability to look at myself in the mirror. Jessica broke up with me 6 months later. Couldn't handle the financial instability, the constant changes, my erratic behavior. Maybe she was right. Maybe I sacrificed too much. But when I see news about famous chefs being exposed for abusive behaviors, for toxic environments, for questionable practices, I know I made the right choice. Because silence is what allows these people to continue. Fear is what keeps them in power. And someone needs to be the first to speak up, even if it costs everything. If you're enjoying these real stories, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share. Secrets kept are wounds that never heal. And maybe, by telling these stories, we can create a world where nobody else has to choose between their job and their conscience, where nobody else has to swallow disgust to pay the bills, where a waiter's word is worth as much as an award-winning chef's. That's the world I want to help build, one story at a time.